Hello, geography fans, and today we are going to be looking at a scenario in which Italy attempts to reform the Roman Empire. Now, obviously, this wouldn't even be close to possible in our modern day world because of NATO, the EU, the UN, and a bunch of other factors would stop any kind of rapid expansion by Italy from happening. And this is where we throw realism out the window, just like AS Pro does in his videos, and we are going to say that NATO, EU, UN, they don't exist, but, smaller alliances may exist. There may be a few that I don't know about, but, some notable alliances are obviously France and Britain, Greece and France, and also notable rivalries like Greece and Turkey, and, Turkey and Azerbaijan, they're allies too, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Russia, Ukraine, that's all happening. Pretty much Russia and everyone over here. So, yeah, we'll see what Italy does. The first thing Italy does is declare war on the little country of Slovenia. Now, again, if this happened in real life, NATO would come to the aid of Slovenia. Italy would crumble harder than Afghanistan did in 2021. But that's besides the point. But in this scenario, Italy is completely free to rampage across Slovenia, and I really don't think anyone's going to attempt to stop them. I mean, Slovenia doesn't have really any notable allies. Like, the only ones I could even think of would be like Croatia, Bosnia Herzegovina, maybe Albania and Kosovo, but those aren't really gonna stop Italy because Italy is the 11th strongest country in the world, so they're gonna be able to just breeze through Slovenia here. And in the first week of this war, that is exactly what they do, as they breeze through half of Slovenia in just a week. And honestly, I'm surprised it even took them that long. After about 10 days of fighting, Slovenia surrenders over to Italy and is fully annexed by Italy. The next thing to happen in Italy's expansion is the occupation of Vatican City and San Marino, something that, certain someone over here doesn't really support. And no, I'm not talking about Spain with these islands. I'm talking about Merca. So Italy's going to try and not go after countries that the US is a fan of. So they have to halt their invasion of France that they were planning on doing. But no one really likes the Balkans, so free land, Italy says. And instead of just starting another Balkan war like you would think any other nation would do, they just decide to get it all out of the way and just declare war on every single Balkan country left, except for Greece and Bulgaria, because they probably wouldn't be able to handle that. But even these countries would actually be able to put up quite the fight against Italy. And I really don't think Italy should have, just declared war on all these countries all at once. Like, I feel like if they declared war on Croatia, that would have activated a whole Balkan war down here, which, given their allies, they would have won. But now they're going to lose probably a lot more men in this war than they would have if they had just started another, third or fourth Balkan war. But nonetheless, Italy starts their invasion and actually gets pretty far into the Yugoslav territory. And I'm just going to call this place Yugoslavia because that's pretty much what it is. Over here, we see Italy do a massive encirclement over here in Bosnia Herzegovina, which basically eliminates a lot of their forces, which would allow Italy to easily breeze through the rest of these countries. The Yugoslav nations just decide to say, we're not done yet, and they actually manage to break the encirclement, leaving Italy very shocked, as anyone would be, because a lot of these tiny countries over here in the Balkans have just managed to push back a pretty strong European power. I mean, Italy, like I said, 11th strongest, probably even stronger than that at this point, considering, the annexation of Slovenia and the build-up of the Italian army for the reformation of the Roman Empire. So, yeah, these guys are going up against a pretty formidable foe, and for now, even seem to be winning. This doesn't last long, however, as we see the full might of the Italian army coming down from the north, and the Italians even making a landing in the south, meaning that Yugoslavia is now fighting a war on two fronts, and it's not looking good. The Yugoslav countries, with their small and weak militaries, are unable to support this war on two fronts, as the Italians in the north are way too strong for them to keep up with, and they also have to deal with the Italians in the south, and they really just don't have the manpower to fight the Italians on both fronts. So, after about a month of fighting, the Yugoslav countries surrender over to Italy. And as we see in this peace treaty, Italy does not actually annex all of the Balkans like everyone thought they were going to. They just annexed a lot of the coastal areas and a little bit of the more populous and, more powerful areas for obvious reasons. But I guess since the Balkans put up a good fight, Italy respects that. They're still a respectable country, even though they are a fierce and powerful empire, and they do allow some of the Balkan countries to keep their sovereignty. They decide that now it's time to go after Africa, specifically Tunisia, Libya, and Algeria. And instead of making the same mistake they made in the last war with declaring war on every single country that they wanted to over here, they just decided to start with one and, not decide to declare war on Tunisia, Libya, and Algeria all at once, because that probably wouldn't go well. Not just considering them, but also considering their allies like Egypt, Morocco, and most of the Middle East. Nonetheless, though, the Italian Navy does prevail over here in the Mediterranean and makes a landing on northern Tunisia. Tunisia is extremely weak compared to Italy, and so after Italy snakes around their coast for a little bit, we do have Tunisia surrendering over to Italy. And surprisingly enough, in the peace treaty, Tunisia is fully annexed by the Roman Empire. But something actually happens that kind of puts a stop in Italy's plan, the formation of a new alliance. Over here in Europe, we have the formation of the ARA, aka the Anti-Roman Alliance, which puts a major stop in Italy's plans for the reformation of the Roman Empire, as, an entire alliance has formed, kind of stopping their plans because, this almost encompasses the entire Mediterranean coast, and also includes some of the strongest countries in the world, such as Turkey, France, the UK, and Spain. So Italy decides to grab what land they can grab quick before they join an alliance, and decides to declare war on some of the remaining Middle Eastern countries that need to be annexed by the Roman Empire. These include Cyprus, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Palestine. And so these countries were all about to join the ARA alliance, but Italy declared war on them before that could happen, kind of like what happened in Ukraine. Russia declared war on Ukraine before Ukraine could join NATO. Same kind of thing happening here. So the real question is now, will Italy be able to actually defeat these guys? Because seeing how much they struggled over here in the Balkans, no one's really sure. But what we can be certain of is the capability of the Roman Navy, which is really strong. Like, it's one of the top contending navies in the world, and it is easily able to beat the Blue Team Navy over here in the Middle East. They capture all of Cyprus and even make a pretty big naval landing on Lebanon. The war drags on for a little while longer, and the Italian landing is making gains as they are approaching this border over here. What their plan is to cut off the Middle Eastern troops. That way they can invade and take out each individual half of the Middle East. The Middle East is aware of this plan and has already sent a pretty fierce defense down in the central region of Middle East to kind of prevent this from happening. Spoiler alert, it's probably not going to go well. Boom, bop, kaboom. And instead of making the Middle East more of a mess than it already is, they just decide to annex all the territory that they claimed over here because, they're going to need as much territory as they can get to face the ARA. Now, Italy knows that they're not going to win this war through conventional means. You see, this is Italy. The red is Italy, the yellow is the ARA. So, obviously, Italy knows they're not going to win this war conventionally. So what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to use the exact same strategy that Japan used in World War II, and that is to hit them hard, just instantly, without warning, attack one of their most populated areas, just, hit them really hard at the beginning. That way they have a good head start to, well, this massive war. And that specific spot that they hit hard on is France. And in just the first couple of weeks of this war, the Italians hit, and they hit hard, blitzkrieging through southern France and northern Spain. And honestly, the IRA did not see this coming. Italy has proven to be a much more powerful country than they initially thought. I mean, heck, even I didn't think Italy would be able to pull this off, but this is the future. Italy then unleashes Operation Mediterranean as they make naval landings off the coast of Africa, and quite a few of them, and specifically over here where they make a small landing on Egypt, because Egypt is the, I guess, stronger country over here in Africa, but they absolutely decimate Turkey, who was not expecting an attack of this magnitude. And keep in mind, this has all happened in just the first month of this war. Once they've finished their blitzkrieg, the war is pretty much already over, as most of France has been taken out. They've just been pushed up to the northern and coastal areas, which is being backed up by the United Kingdom, who is slightly holding on to this territory. Spain is near collapse. They've probably already surrendered. They're probably being occupied by all these African countries down here. Speaking of which, Italy has formed one massive united front against Africa, specifically down here in Egypt, where, no one expected them to do this well. I mean, they've really done some work against Egypt. And up here in Turkey, where they've advanced on all fronts, and even a little push down in Greece, where they've managed to take over the, I guess, the bigger area of Greece. And once these troops meet up, it's pretty much over. Italy pushes around the countries along the Mediterranean coast a little bit more, and they've managed to fully occupy Spain, occupy most of France except for this tiny little area of France that is being occupied by the UK, managed to occupy most of northern Africa. I mean, these guys are probably barely holding on. Turkey's barely holding on. Greece is occupied. Italy's pretty much won this war. The blue team knows this and decides to talk for a peace treaty in London. In the final peace treaty, Italy gets all of this territory from the blue team, which at first glance may look like so much, but honestly, it really isn't much compared to what they had occupied. I mean, they had all of Spain occupied, they had a good chunk of Algeria and pretty much all of Libya occupied, a nice chunk of Egypt over here, more of Turkey. So yeah, they really didn't get as much as they really should have. If they kept fighting, they probably would have won. Probably would have even got some land out of England, even if they could have even invaded England. But really, their only goal was to reform the Roman Empire, and they've kind of done it. I mean, this is the kind of, I guess, Roman Empire kind of base thing that everyone's used to seeing. It's not the full Roman Empire because, again, the full Roman Empire had lands up here into Germany, Benelux, and it was just a lot thicker than this. But this does encompass all of the Mediterranean Sea, so it's pretty much the Roman Empire. As for England, they are actually ceded over this small part of France that they occupied and kept safe from the Romans for the duration of the war. And so France decides to make it up to England by giving them this small piece of their territory, which England gladly accepts. Now we should probably talk about how strong the Roman Empire is. I mean, at this point, it's probably like, I don't know, like the third or fourth strongest country in the world. It's definitely up there somewhere. I mean, it's got to be. Like, look at all of this territory. I mean, how could this not be one of the big powers? So, yeah, this Roman Empire is now officially the third strongest country in the world, and, well, its navy is probably the strongest in the world, because, once again, all of the Mediterranean Sea. So, yeah, Italy has all of that under their control, so I think we can safely say that, Rome rules the waves. Yeah, I'm sorry, England, but Rome totally stole your crown, dude. Now, if this were to go on even longer, we could probably see a Cold War break out between Rome and Russia, or even between Rome and the UK, if the UK, decided to become a monarchy again and directly go against the Roman Empire. But even then, I really don't think much would be able to stop the Roman Empire at this point. I mean, they're simply too powerful. Like, they would have to defeat all of this. And, yeah, even invading this would be almost impossible. Like, they've got the entire Mediterranean Sea. Like, Britain ever tried, good luck. And that is pretty much going to do it for What If Rome Reformed in 2022. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. And yeah, I really do hope to do more geography videos. I've been getting back into geography. I really hope to do more videos like this, hopefully tomorrow. Also, you'll notice that this video is much longer than usual, and I'm really stoked about that. So, yeah, I'll be able to produce longer videos, and who knows, get me to 50 subscribers, and you could see a hour-long video on this channel. That would be amazing. You geography fans are awesome, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.